Today we're interviewing Jeffrey Hammerhead Phillips. He's the author of Devil Ray Reef and Obeah's Fire. Today I'm interviewing Jeffrey Hammerhead Phillips, who's a mystery writer. Well, they're sort of mystery adventure stories. He's published two of them, Murder on Devil Ray Reef and Obeah's Fire. I'm interviewing him, you'll see, in his study in West Palm Beach, Florida. These two books feature Jesse Stoker, who's a dive captain and has his own boat, takes out divers. Jeffrey's done this, I don't know, 30, 40 years and really knows what he's talking about. He writes probably the best underwater description of underwater scenes you'll ever read. They are wonderful. I highly recommend his two books. He's now working on a thriller. Anyway, I hope you enjoy the interview. I wanted to ask you about this, these publishing an indie book, because a lot of writers are considering this, and I wanted to ask you, like, you have wonderful covers. Who made them? Did you design your own covers?
No, I did not. I had someone design my covers for me. Her name is Victoria Landis, and in one of my books, in both of the books, there's a credit to her, and so if you're interested in having a book design, you can go out to her website, and there's a link there, and she'll help you with it. And she has a series of questions for you.
What did she charge you?
She charges, it depends on how much work goes into the effort of making the cover for you.
Mm-hmm.
So I really don't want to quote a price,
Mm-hmm.
but it could, I can imagine it could go up to $500. I mean, I've seen some really fancy covers that she has done,
Uh-huh.
and it just depends on how much time she has to put in the cover for
Mm-hmm.
you. My covers are pretty basic, and I had a couple of inputs for them, and she's modified them, and I thought they worked out very well. This was the first one she did for me. It's got the manta ray on there because the climax of the story takes place on Devil Ray Reef. She does the spine also, and if you notice, the cover wraps around the spine, and on the back it's like a beach scene, so the cover continues to wrap around the back, and there's like a blanket here, palm trees.
Yeah, they're nice looking covers.
Yes, she does.
How about the text? How did you do that?
I had another lady help me format them. We did them on Amazon. We did both a digital version, and we also did the print version, which is actually through CreateSpace.
Uh-huh.
A lot of people can do it on their own, but I wanted someone to help me to make sure there was no errors in the text, make sure the formatting is done, and also to make sure it looks like a professional
It looks
novel,
very professional.
like a professional novel. So a lot of people, when they do their own books, they forget to do the little things that are all in traditional published books. Some people even forget to put the ISBN numbers in them.
Mm-hmm.
And so you'll notice it's exactly laid out the way a traditional publisher would do it.
Uh-huh. And it's your publishing company?
Yeah, actually it's through Amazon, so I don't have a publishing company.
Oh.
I just went straight through Amazon. And then CreateSpace did the print version, and then also through Amazon I did the audio version. So you can download it in iTunes if you like.
What does that cost if I wanted to download it in iTunes?
iTunes is has many steps in it. First of all, you put a sample of your work out there, and different readers will, different
listeners.
Different speakers will bid on your work. They'll read your work, and then they'll bid on your work, and you decide which one you want.
Mm-hmm.
I had Carol Dines do my first one. She lives in Tennessee. She read it. She fell in love with it.
Mm-hmm.
And then they have all this equipment. It's just like a regular studio, music studio.
In her home, she has it.
Well, she actually has a studio.
Oh.
It's just not like in her basement. It's a true studio, soundproofing and everything. So you get the quality that you need like they are professionals, so it's not amateur.
What did that cost you?
You can negotiate the price with them through. Some people require an upfront fee. For instance, you could have gotten who's the guy that played Darth Vader? James Earl Jones.
Yeah.
I think his fee's $10,000 or something. But
really?
Yeah. Whatever.
Boy, he's got a nice voice.
He does. So, and you have other people that do it, and there's two different ways you can do it. Some people want an upfront fee, and you pay them, and off they go. And then some people split the revenue, the profits with you. And that's what Carol and I did. We split it, so when I get a check, she gets a check.
No, how nice.
Yes. And it never goes out of print or off the digital world like a traditional.
You sell these through Amazon as well?
That's correct. I have my own website. You can get to the books through my website. You can go out to Amazon and get them. And since I'm a member of Mystery Writers of America, there are some bookstores that work with independent authors and will carry their books.
How many bookstores are you in? Do you know?
I'm just in the one here in South Florida.
Oh.
It keeps me busy enough.
Yeah.
So.
And you do book signings there?
Yes, I do.
How many people show up for your signings?
The book signings, well, for me personally, I've been very lucky. I usually have about 40 to 50 people that show up. My wife cooks, and we serve wine. We have found the more wine you serve, the more books you sell.
Oh, yeah, no doubt. Of course, I've known you a long time, and you've been in many of my workshops. And I made another video about doing workshops, and you're in it, but I haven't posted it yet on. I remember I interviewed you once during a workshop.
Oh, yes.
And I haven't put that up yet, but I'm going to be putting that up. Okay. So I know a little bit about your background, quite a bit about your background as a people are always told to write what they know, and you're certainly writing what you know in this dive business. How many years have you been in the dive business?
I strapped on a scuba tank for the first time in 1965, and then I became a certified diver in 1970. I became an instructor in 1984, and my wife and I still dive today.
So, but you don't do it professionally anymore?
No, I do more for pleasure. I manage a Pure Via Divers, a professional dive shop, and we have our own boat. And I have.
And I just went to the Christmas party there, so
that's right. And I have people that are much more talented than I am in helping with the divers to come down.
It's not such a difficult thing, is it? Is it hard?
You know, most people think that these are just like Joe Blows off the street.
Yeah.
These people have gone through years of training to earn dive master rating or an instructor rating to be able to safely take people diving. Most of them have biology backgrounds or degrees. So if you have a fish that you know what the name of it is, you can ask them, and they can tell you everything you need to know about that fish.
So, like, if people want to go diving in South Florida, what's the name of the company you work for?
It's Pura Via Divers, and you can Google it. We pop right up.
P-U-R-A?
Yes, P-U-R-A space V-I-D-A space divers.
And you're in West Palm Beach.
That's correct.
Yeah, I should know. I was there at your Christmas party.
Yes.
And I met some of the divers, and they seem like quite fanatical. They say like this is their whole life. Huh?
It is. They love the ocean. It's their first love, and they love taking people to see the beauties of the ocean.
Well, you had people at your party that came from Atlanta and places like that. I mean, just to go to the party. So I guess they feel like really attached.
Yes, we're very friendly, and we love everyone who comes and visit us.
What's the cost to go diving?
The cost to go out on our boat, well, today, it could go up tomorrow, is $75 a person plus tax, and then plus any gear that you might need. And we also have something that's called the Blue Heron Bridge. It's world famous. You can Google it. And it's free to dive that unless you'd like to have a personal guide to lead you around the first time. And most people from out of town, out of state, out of country, they hire us to show them around, and then they're pretty comfortable on their own to dive it from then on.
You've been you started writing these books about 10 years ago or so, right?
Yes, that's correct.
And you were in writers groups.
Yes.
Can you tell us, what kind of the experience of writers groups? And I know you just recently went into a new one. You might let people know how do you find a writers group, and how do you know if it's a good one or not?
I've been fortunate. The first couple of writer groups I fell into, I have a friend, Steve Brown, and he was in these writers groups. And in fact, he led me to your writer group, and that's how I met you, Jim. Here, I was in a writer group, but for many reasons, the different people in our group have left the area, and so I went out searching for one. And I Googled writers group in West Palm Beach, and several came up, and I went and visited several of them. I've learned over the years that there's many types of writers groups. There are some that just, no matter what you read, they love it.
Well, that's good for your ego.
Yes. And then there's, especially here in West Palm Beach, there are several writers groups only specialize in a certain type of writing. For instance, maybe only poetry, or maybe only science fiction, but like a particular type of science fiction. The one I'm currently at is at the Wellington Library, and it's open to all genres. And you sign up, you read your piece in front of them, and then it just goes around a circle, and everyone gives their opinion of what you read. And you pick and choose what you like and what you don't like. And it's probably typical of all writers groups that there are some people in the group that have an excellent ear and can tell you exactly what is wrong with the piece. And then there are just some people that not quite sure.
They don't know what to say.
Yeah, they don't know what to say, and like I said, they're afraid to say anything bad about your piece.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Gee, and yeah, it sounds like Oregon.
Yeah.
Everybody will say very nice things.
Yes, and I find it is really great when people say nice things about your work, but you don't improve.
Yeah.
And it's really nice to have other people looking at the work, and they help you. Some people will help you overall with your plot and how your scene moved, and some people are even talented enough they can help you with your word choices.
Yeah.
And it's nice to get that feedback.
Do you give copies to people, or is it just verbal, completely verbal?
This particular group that I've been in, it's a verbal. But I've been to places, different groups, where you give them copies. And in fact, my favorite type of workshop is where you email your sample to everyone in the workshop.
Yeah.
And then they show up. And they usually have their laptops in front of you, and they have all their changes on their laptops. And then when it's their turn, they just read right off their laptops. And then you just take notes. And I like that better because they usually have about a week to study your work.
Yeah.
And they're not rushed to get through it, to where, like if you're reading your piece, they only have like 5 minutes to think about it before they start commenting.
Right. And they when they read it over like that, they can comment on every sentence, right? I mean, they can print it out and give it back to you with comments about every sentence if they want.
That's correct. Except instead of printing it out, like in Word, they have like track changes.
Oh yeah.
And they just write all their comments in there, and it's scattered through everything. And they just email it right back to you, which is really nice. What
you write everything in Word then?
That's correct.
Yeah, and everybody has Word or can get it. When you finished your book, and you obviously tried to find agents and standard publishing, what happened with that? You must have. How many? Give us an idea how many agents you queried and what the agents said about the book and so on.
Okay, I found. I've learned a couple of things, I should say. I used to go to these writers' conventions, and you could meet with an agent. And some agents would be like very honest with you and say, no, I don't like that story and I could never sell it.
Yeah.
I found most of the times the agents are nice. They try to politely to give you some pointers about your manuscript. Yeah. But most of them will always ask for a few pages.
Yeah.
And then you get like a rejection letter in the mail.
Uh-huh.
And then, and on my books, I queried every agent that handles mystery writers. I got on some of them I just got a form letter back.
Yeah.
Some I never heard anything back.
You sent these snail mail.
Well, I can't. I'm trying to think of the name of the reference book, but it tells you how you have to query the agent.
Yeah.
And some want snail mail, some want email.
Yeah.
And they tell you exactly what they want. If you don't meet their guidelines, your submission goes right into the trash because they don't have time for you. They're getting over 100 submissions a week.
Mm-hmm.
So through my years, and no one really will tell you how much of an advance they got, unless they got a huge one.
Yeah.
And the agents don't want to do it, and the editors don't want to do it. But through my years with talking with people and the agents hinting around with me, I think a nobody gets anywhere from $2,000 to $5,000 as an advance.
Right.
You know, and I've been fortunate enough. I was made that easily through Amazon.
Have you?
Yes.
That's wonderful.
Mm-hmm. If I had more time in my life and market it,
yeah,
I could probably boost those sales up a lot.
Right. And of course, this way they never go out of print.
That's correct. That's one thing nice about Amazon. They don't go out of print. Where in traditional publishing,
mm-hmm.
I don't know the exact stats, but I've heard they're only good for like 6 months or a year, unless you're selling,
right,
or you're a big name,
right.
But I'm not a big name,
right. So you're satisfied. You're glad you're doing it this way.
Yes, I am. I just wish I had more time to market my books.
Mm-hmm.
I do go. I have found that being guest bloggers bumps up sales of the books. If you can have a working relationship with a bookstore, that bumps up your sales. You know, just don't go walking into any bookstore and say, "Will you carry my book?"
Yeah.
They'll just show you the door.
Yeah.
You know, you have to have a working relationship with these people.
Where you do signings and stuff.
Not only signings at that, but you promote their store.
Ah.
So even if they're having a book signing and it's not you,
yeah,
you should be there promoting that and helping other authors.
Oh.
And then, of course, I'm a member of a national organization called Mystery Writers of America. I'm a member of the Florida chapter,
mm-hmm.
and I volunteer for different functions for the Florida chapter. And that
Sleuth Fest is coming up. Is it theirs?
That's our big conference at the end of February.
Uh-huh.
I encourage everyone who wants to be a writer or is a writer to attend. We bring in known writers from all over the world. I should say all over the United States.
Uh-huh.
And there's workshops all day long, and there's different tracks. So at any one time there could be 4, maybe 5 workshops going on at a particular hour.
Do you ever hear from your readers? I mean strangers that might buy your book.
Yeah, you know, every now and then I'll get an email from someone that said, "Hey, I loved your book."
Oh, that's great.
Yes, I have an author page on Goodreads,
uh-huh.
and so I get people through Goodreads. They'll send me a thing, say, "Hey, I liked your book," and they'll rate it, you know,
yeah.
from 1 star to 5 stars.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
It's fun. I meet new people.
Yeah. Well, I've read both of them, and I think they're exciting books.
Oh, well, thank you.
Yeah, they're, you know, I don't know anything about diving, the ocean, any of that stuff. So when I read your books, I feel like really being introduced to a world that I'm not that familiar with. It's very interesting, and they're gripping. They're exciting, you know. I was amazed when you didn't get an agent and sell it with a big advance. I thought this book was really these 2 books were really gonna go.
I had many agents tell me that they just didn't know how to sell it to a publisher, and would it have a big enough draw for that publisher.
Right.
You know,
no, there's not that many divers, right? They think
how many divers in the world?
But I think you know, unless you're an idiot, you're going to read books that are about subjects you don't know anything about. You know. I mean, to me,
that's what I thought too.
It's you're getting involved in a world you don't understand or don't know, and it was very interesting in that oh well. I'm glad that this is working out for you. It's
Yes.
really great. You'd advise people to go this way.
I advise people to write the best story they can write, get someone to read it so there's no amateur errors in it.
Mm-hmm.
If they can find, and I would also tell them, try to find a traditional publisher.
Mm-hmm.
And you'll learn many things. Even if no agent accepts you, you will learn things to make your book stronger.
Oh.
And I would advise people to go to different writers' conferences so they can learn more about the craft and learn more about the publishing business.
Uh-huh.
And then they can make a decision whether they want to publish the book themselves or find a traditional publisher. I would just caution people to stay away from, there are a lot of scam sites out there that'll just take your money and you're going to get nothing in return. So you have to, whatever you decide to go with, you have to research them well.
Well, thanks a lot for that. Thanks for the interview.
Thank you, Jim. Thank you for your time.
And for those of you who haven't been to South Florida, it's a really interesting place.
Yes. If anyone's in South Florida, look
We're
me up.
interviewing Jeffrey Hammerhead Phillips. He's the author of Devil, Ray, Reef, and Obeah's Fire. Hi, today we're interviewing Jeffrey Hammerhead Phillips. He's the author of Devil, Ray, Reef, and Obeah's Fire.